Of course, you can add calculations to graphical objects like this column chart. For example, here we might want to calculate an average from these columns. We can see that they range from 1.5 millions to about 4 million. So maybe the average is somewhere around 2.2 millions or so. But what we need to do is to go into custom calculations. Now the question is, which one should we pick from these options here? They actually refers to things in a crosstab, so maybe we should look at this column chart as a crosstab at first. So here it is, our crosstab, looking at 48 months of data. Now if I just go adding a single row at first down here. Now to calculate the average here, I'll just give it a name, average. To calculate the average, I'll be using the AVG function. And now this one should be based on data from the current column. So we can put in a 0 here. And it should actually take all the rows into account from the first row to the last row, D1 colon D-1. And we only got one measure, M1, the profit measure. So let's apply this and let's have a look. So apparently the monthly average, it's calculated on the lowest level of this hierarchy. The monthly average is those 2.285. Notice my D1 colon D-1 actually became all, because I was in fact referring to all my rows. So I could put that in myself if I wanted to. So let's just apply that one again. And well, in the column chart, it didn't really help me because it just became another column here at the end. And that's not really what I wanted. I wanted as a line, a colored line going across all of my columns here. So maybe I need to go back here and redefine this. Actually, I'll delete that calculated row. So in other words, I probably need to put it in as a calculated column instead, so that I get the average value for each of my months. Then I can turn it into a line going across all of my columns. So now we don't really have any dimension columns here, but still we cannot avoid making a column reference, so we just put in D1. Now we know we can refer to all my rows just by typing all, and we still only got one measure, M1. So notice here, well, on the month level we still got those 2.285 millions as the average, but on the quarter levels we got quarter averages, and even on the year levels we now got year averages. Now, will that actually mess up my column chart? No, not really, because the column chart is showing data on the month level anyhow. But we can also see that I actually put in the average calculation here nicely with the value at 2.285 millions. Now we just need to turn that into a line. We do that through my chart properties, where we can then select the series, average series, and change the visualization into a line. And maybe we really don't want those markers. So maybe something like this. Now we got our average line. Let's try to add something more or less similar. So again, a calculation here. Maybe we should change that into a crosstab. I would like another column here. So calculation as a single column. And what I'm going to do here is to calculate an accumulated average. And this is in fact just an average where I'll be basing my data on my average on data from the first row down to the whatever row I'm looking at, from the first month and down to June, for example, or November or whatever. Actually, I'll just put in a 0 here and then go back to properties. And these subtotals that we're looking at, maybe they're a bit confusing, and also the grand total. So let's just remove that. So now we're looking at pure month values. Going back to the calculation, accumulated average. So in other words, I'm going to make an AVG function here, still looking into my only column, D1, but then looking at trying to calculate the average from the first row down to the current row. So in other words, from D1 to 0, like this, comma M1, and then apply this. Now this is in fact the accumulated average that we're looking at, but it'll probably be easier to see in the column chart. Maybe we should turn these dark columns into a line. So again, chart properties on that one, turn it into a line with no markers. So one more to go. Another custom calculation as a single column. And what I'm going to do here is to calculate a so-called centered average, or 11-month centered average. Well, it's actually going to become an average on each point on each month here. But looking into, for example, October 2016 here, well, the average 11-month centered average I want to do there will be based on months going 5 months back and also 5 months ahead. So 11 months in total will be included in this calculation. Now the syntax for this will be AVG again, D1, and then we are, according to the current row, we're going 5 rows back and also 5 rows ahead. So this is the syntax for that. So that'll be my 11-month centered average. We got the values here. And going to the column chart, we just need to turn that into a line if we want to, like this. And there you have it. And now some nice average calculations in this column chart.